there's been a growing sentiment around the NFL, which this is the first time I've talked about the football side of things, that Jordan Love is an overrated quarterback. And my only question for that is by who? Because from everything I've seen, I have not seen one media outlet rank him as a top 10 QB when he was second in the league in passing touchdowns last year. And typically when I think of an overrated player, I think of someone whose stats or value to his team are not equal to how the media might perceive him or the general public. And that is not the case with Jordan Love at all. He was crucial to this team last year in their midseason turnaround when he started really picking up and being a great player who was second in the league in passing touchdowns. As I said, he was very safe with the ball. I believe he only threw one pick during the last 8-game stretch. Jordan Love, from what we've seen from him, he is a great quarterback and he deserves to get paid, no doubt. So I don't understand where the overrated argument comes from. And, really, I would argue that he's underrated because the media, the reason they even talk about him in the first place is they love a narrative. The narrative will draw the casual viewers in. And the Packers, they have a narrative quarterback. For the last few decades, they've had so much stability at that position. They had Brett Favre. Then they went to Aaron Rodgers. And then a couple years back, they drafted Jordan Love while they still had Aaron Rodgers. And now Jordan Love is finally getting his chance to shine. He's doing well. So they can have that narrative about Jordan Love and talk about him. But in general, I feel like the fact that he's actually doing great is not brought up enough. And now people are saying he's overrated just because the Packers are going to pay him big money. The thing about that is contract values they're ever inflating. So in a couple years from now, this will not look like an overpay at all, especially if he continues to be a great quarterback for his Packers organization. I truly believe he can be a top 10 QB by the end of this year, if not higher. And, like we saw this with Patrick Mahomes' contract, I thought it was a huge overpay, 10 years, $50 million a year. But now that looks like a steal compared to some of these new contracts for Patrick Mahomes. And Jordan Love, I cannot see the argument that he's overrated. The media doesn't talk about him that much. His production is very good, and his impact on the team is great. So he's going to deserve that contract. And a couple years from now, it'll be very fair at minimum. And overall, I think he's a great player with a very bright future. If you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could find it in you to like, subscribe, maybe check out the full podcast on Spotify, follow us on there, follow us on Instagram. I know realistically this podcast isn't going to go anywhere ultimately, whether it's via the segments on YouTube or the entire podcast itself. But I want to get into the sports broadcasting business. I want to be able to promote thought-provoking discussions about the NBA, and I would love to do it via State of the Association. Thank you if you made it all the way through.